Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to the 31st unit of this course in Global English. We are today in the 10th unit of the writing module, and we are going to talk about something called coherence and cohesion. Sorry, these words sound slightly big and intimidating, but actually they mean something pretty simple. How do we connect different words in a sentence? In other words, coherence and cohesion, these two words refer to devices or those words or those rules which join words in a sentence, make them meaningful, and sentences in a paragraph or in discourse which make them still more meaningful. We will see how these things work. For a writer, it's not just important to write grammatically correctly. That is, of course, important. But something still more important is for all words to fit in their place and together contribute, together add to the overall meaning. So, this adding to the overall meaning is done by some rules and some words that are called coherence and cohesion. One thing works at the sentence level, and the other thing works at the paragraph level. Let us see some examples. How do words join to make sentences, and sentences join to make paragraphs? We all know that there are different kinds of words in any language, just as they are in English. In English, we know these words are nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, adverbs. Then there are conjunctions, interjections, there are articles, there are prepositions, all of these things. These are different kinds of words. But not all of these words do the same function. Nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs have meanings. But how do they come together? What glues them? What brings them and keeps them together? So many people, many teachers and students of language use a level called content word and structure word. They say some words have meanings. Actually, these are gross generalizations, but some words have meanings like nouns, pronouns, verbs, adjectives, and some other words have no meaning by themselves, like the, of, for. They have no meaning by themselves, but they acquire meaning when they join those two words together. So these are called structure making words. Actually, a language, any language, not just English, be it Tamil or Hindi or Swahili, any language is a combination of these two classes of words: nouns, pronouns, etc., and structure words like articles, prepositions, conjunctions, some kinds of pronouns, some other phrases, and all of these things together. A good writer, like a good mechanic, like a driver knows his car, a soldier knows his gun, a writer, a painter knows his colors. Similarly, a good writer, by here I writer, by writer here I do not mean story writer only, or playwright or a poet. I mean anyone who writes words to convey something to someone, anybody who writes should know also about these words and these rules, in other words, called coherence and cohesion. In this unit, we will look at some examples and we will see how they work. To make it's still more clear, you see, all of us have seen railway trains. You know? Now, all railway trains, by definition, a train is a combination of two or more units. Only then does it become a train. Okay, and because it moves on rails, so it is called railways, right? But all trains, as you can notice in the photograph on my right hand, is the photograph of a goods train. Now it's not that there is only one unit, only one bogie from or after engine until the guard's bogie. No, there are several bogies. Some goods trains are so long that they can have more than 50 or more bogies. Okay, 52, 53 bogie trains, goods trains are also there. Even among passenger trains, you have passenger trains with 28, 30 bogies. And at those speeds, at 300 kilometers per hour or even 80, 90 kilometers per hour, they move like one unit, like one car, one bus, one aircraft. How does it happen? It happens because of, you can see the photograph on my left hand, it is because of the connections, the links between two carriages. These links are very firm and very steady. Without these links, either the bogies will hit one another, no passenger can sit down, they will be falling upon one another, or the bogie will tumble down from the railway tracks. It is these links which move the train together, which stop when a stop comes, and which gathers speed when speed is required. Therefore, engineers would tell you that a railway train might have big bogies and big engines, but these small links, these little links between two bogies, play a very vital, very important function. Without them, trains cannot move except beyond a few yards or few meters. Look at this photograph. The train moving at a great speed. Now, what keeps them in place on their tracks, and what makes them move like one unit, even when they are not one unit? They are a combination of, you know, several small units. So as the train moves, you can see that it is their links which keeps them in place. Similar thing with writing. A good writer may not know thousands and thousands of words. That is not important. Shakespeare knew only 26,000 words. The Holy Bible has only 14,000 words. How many words you know is not as important as it is to use those words which connect other words. In other words, it is important for us to understand and use and learn to use what we have called structure words. Then your sentences are coherent. Sorry, then each within each sentence, words fall in place, sentences join one another, they make a cohesive unit. Together, like the train moves to one direction, one destination, so all your words together will convey the meaning that you want to convey. Next time you are on the train, railway train, enjoy it, but also appreciate that different bogies are put together by these links. Look at this example. Here in the first sentence, you have some nouns and verbs. Are, two, charts. one male, female respondents. Do these words together make any meaning? Do they give you any meaning? Look at other sentences similarly. I'll keep quiet. I'll give you a couple of minutes. Look at these sentences. Do they make any meaning to you? But now look at the same sentences. Now they are joined like bogies in a railway train, like coaches of a railway train, are linked very well. So now you know it says, whereas earlier you had nothing but charts. You see, are two charts. But now there are two charts. There is the linker. Then one each for male and female respondents. Earlier, one male, female respondent. You do not know what you are talking about. They are loose like bogies in a railway yard. Okay? So these linking words not only put these words in their place, what comes first, what comes next, they also help them acquire the meaning that is inherent in them and together communicate the meaning that the writer wants them to communicate. Look at the next sentence. Lack of interest is another reason. So, of and another have been added to give meaning. Look at the earlier sentence. Lack of interest is reason, factors contributing. Okay, does it make sense? They're all like loose bogies in a shunting yard. But once you use structure words, lack of interest, then another, then other, then two, other factors contributing to, okay, dropout rates, then and to all of these things together. Similarly, in the third sentence, you see, distance to school seems to be a more critical factor for girls than for boys. Earlier slide said distance seems to be critical female students. What are we talking about? You know, something is being said about distance. But what is being said about distance? Is it that girls are at a distance? Is it that girls like being at a distance? Is it that the schools are at a distance? We don't know. No matter how good you are at language, you cannot make out the meaning inherent here until those structure words are added. And once, look at the third sentence now, once those structure words are added, you see, distance to, I should have underlined the word to, distance to school seems to be a more, also, now says for boys, it doesn't matter. They can go long distance, but girls prefer schools closer to their homes rather than long distance. Okay, that is the simple meaning being conveyed here. Similarly, with the fourth sentence, you know, whereas over 35% men have said they are not interested in school education, only 20% women have said so. You see, it's again a comparison between men and women. Now, school is there for all of them, but one group says school is really important for them. Until recently, women worldwide had no chance to go to schools. It is only in the 20th century and the 21st century that all women have, at least in law, a chance to go to school. But between the two of them, between men and women, school is more important to one group. To which group? Without structure words, we do not know in the fourth sentence. There are no structure words there, and we cannot make out. All words are there otherwise. 35% males have said they are not. Number girls said are not. But we do not know. that it is more important for girls. It is the function, please note, it is the function of the structure word that now, look at this sentence in the fourth, now we know that girls value the chance for education more than the boys. Women value the opportunity to get education more, according to this survey, than men do. How do these things come out? Because of those words. So now we can say that these sentences have have the words uh, come together in a very coherent manner. It's like anything else. Like I told you, bogies of a railway train, coaches of a railway train, or like the dress you wear, your pant, your shirt, everything fits. It's coherent. They come together to give one impression. Similarly, all words here come together to give one impression. Okay? Similarly, look at the fifth sentence. Let's move on. So, this is cohesion. The underlined words in the previous slide tie the other words there in cohesive units. Without them, those are loose words. They don't contribute to the meaning. With these words, they become cohesive units, united together in one group. What's the difference between a crowd and a family? Both have people, both are men and women, but in a crowd, nobody is related to nobody. We don't know one another, or even when we know one another, we have no emotional bond, no relationship. Whereas in a family, we know one another, we know our duties, we know our responsibilities, we are tied to one another, we are bonded to one another. That is the same thing in a sentence. And what elements perform this bonding function, this coherence, cohesive function? The cohesive function is done by words like there, other, each, more than. They work at the higher level, more than at the sentence level. So, you can say more than X, more than Y, less than X, less than Y. You can say something, you can say it is very hot, so do not go out. Now, if you just say it is very hot, do not go out, then these two sentences are not linked. But when you say it is very hot, so do not go out, then they are linked. You can say it is raining, so take your umbrella. But if you say without that, it is not quite as clear. It is raining, take your umbrella. People who know can still say the two go together. But when you have a so there, then it is still clearer. So some of these words work at the between they connect, just as earlier slides we saw some words connect other words. So here we see that some words connect sentences. Okay, they usually tie other words within the sentence or the paragraph, tying sentences in a paragraph to make a cohesive unit. Let us illustrate. Let us look at some other examples. Okay, how does the following read? You see, there are again sentences. Forest somewhere, Himalayas, was a lake, very sweet water, surrounded some best fruit trees, world. One sentence. Can we make out? Somehow we can guess. We can make a hang of it. We can say, well, it looks like the writer is talking about some place which has a lake, which has some trees, which is near the Himalayas, but we are not sure. Next sentence is many birds came far away. How can birds come far away? They can go far away. How can they come far away? Animals, monkey, live. You know, we we can somehow guess, but we are not sure. There is no clarity. Similarly, in the next sentence, monkey lived jamun tree. What do you mean? Monkey lived on the jamun tree. Did the monkey live on the jamun tree? Did the monkey live under the jamun tree? Did the monkey live away from the jamun tree? Not clear, The relationship is not clear. It does not make one cohesive, one coherent unit. Okay? But look at the next slide. When we use these devices, I have underlined them, in a forest somewhere. So now suddenly forest and somewhere become one unit. They become one noun phrase. Where? In a forest somewhere. We do not know in India or in Vietnam, somewhere, but in a forest somewhere, in the Himalayas. I'm sorry I said Vietnam. I should say have said Himalayas because Vietnam is farther away from the Himalayas. But Nepal and India share the Himalayas. So in a forest somewhere, we do not know whether Nepal or the Himalayas, but in a forest somewhere becomes one place and becomes one place because of the cohesive devices, these two words, in a. In the Himalayas, another place, there was a lake of a very sweet water. Suddenly, now lake and water are no longer unrelated. They are related. In the earlier sentence, they are unrelated. Very sweet water, lake. We do not know who is saying what, but here they are cohesive unit. So, to keep the matter simple, all of us know these words. Sometimes some content words may be unknown to us because content words are unlimited. In the entire English language, there are more than 5 lakh, 500,000 words. But of these structure words, words that add to cohesion and coherence, may not be more than a couple of hundred, definitely under 500. All others are structure, content words. So, as a language, as a student of language, as a teacher of language, I would say you may or may not know thousands of content words. Doesn't matter. What matters more is, do you know how to use these other words, these devices of coherence and cohesion correctly, appropriately? If you do, then these sentences would read wonderfully well. Look at the second sentence, second paragraph on the previous slide. Previous slide, these sentences are unconnected. Monkey lived jamun tree. We do not know he lived on the tree, under the tree, away from the tree. Jamun tree was very special. Jamun tree gave wonderful black swollen berries here. Monkey ate fruits. But when we use these devices, then they become a story. They become the meaning that the writer wants to say. The monkey lived on a jamun tree. This jamun tree was very special. It gave wonderful. We don't have to say jamun, jamun again. It becomes boring, jarring. The music doesn't come. So you said jamun once, then you use pronoun. It. It adds to the meaning. The monkey ate fruits and played on trees all day. So all on and in the second sentence, the monkey lived happily without a care. Okay. So these things, some people also call them discourse markers because together they join different sentences in a meaningful unit. Like each bogey, each coach has a structure, but one coach is joined with the other by those structural units who join those two coaches. Similarly, here is the case. Let's move on. It's obvious, that these words have been added. Now, all of us know these words. They may not have any meaning of their own, but they help other words express their meaning. Without them, these words will have no meaning. Let's move on. Finally, cohesion is the function of these words coming together. What words? Articles. A and the conjunctions. Two similar units are joined with and. Two dissimilar units are joined with or, and there are other words. Prepositions. There may be there are about 20 frequently used prepositions at, about, but, sorry, by, before, beneath, between, below, for, from, okay, in, into, inside, on, upon, outside, out, to, towards, with, within, since, for. There are about 20 frequently used prepositions. But these frequently used prepositions are so important to language that in no human language meaning can be expressed without using similar words in their languages. In English, of course, they are called prepositions, but in many Indian languages, they are postpositions. In English, they come before the noun they add meaning to. In some Indian languages, they come afterwards. We will talk about them a little later, right? But these little words, and we know them all, it's only that we do not pay adequate attention to their use. In my opinion, it is more important to learn the use of these words than to acquire thousands of meaning carrying new words. So, with pronouns, pronouns are also limited in number. They may not be more than about 25 or 30, okay? But they are very important because they connect all the other hundreds of thousands of nouns into meaningful units. Similarly, reference markers like so, hence, thus, therefore, etc. etc. Let us spend some time on prepositions. Actually, we have created a resource book along with this course. A link to the resource book is going to be given, and whenever you have a doubt, you can check the resource book, or you can check a dictionary, or you can check the net. If you have any doubt about any using any of these prepositions, 20 odd, you know, prepositions do something pretty simple. Prepositions connect one noun with another. So, for example, suppose there is bay, there is Bengal, there is sea, there is water. Now, we do not know what is the relation, but once there is preposition, we say the Bay of Bengal, the Bay of Biscay, the Gulf of Mannar, or water from the sea, water from the Ganga. Okay, so prepositions relate these two words. Prepositions also relate verbs with noun. Okay, send to all, ask for a room. So ask is a verb, room is a noun, but a preposition before, that is, preposition comes before noun. So that is why it is called pre and position. In our languages, it will be post position because it will come after room. Room ke liye pucho. In the, English will be room lende kekla. Okay, it will be Tamil. But in English, we say for before room. That is why it is preposition after verb. But what does it do? Preposition relates verb to the noun, as you see in the second bullet point. Send to all. Send all will become ambiguous. Do you want to send everybody for a holiday? Do you want to send everybody to jail? Or do you want to send something to everybody? So it is to that gives you that function. Okay? It is for that relates ask to a room. Similarly, in the earlier bullet point, Bay and Bengal, home and aged will remain unrelated unless a preposition is there. So preposition does this function. It relates one noun to another and it relates verb to the noun. In both cases, the one noun is related to the head noun, more important noun, and verb is related to that noun, which will be the important word in that sentence. Some prepositions are used pretty frequently, okay, like of, for, from, to, in, by, with, very frequently. With or without, little less, since, still little less, unto, over, a little less. These are frequency counted things, but that doesn't matter. Only because some word is only used once in 1,000 words and some word is used once in 100 words, learning load or importance of learning is not minimized. Frequency of use does not take away from the importance of a word. Even if a word is used only once in 1,000 words, you still have to learn it. Otherwise, those 1,000 words will become meaningless. So let us say increase and decrease. Increase is used very frequently, once in maybe 1,000 words. The frequency count said if you take 1,000 words, it is highly likely that increase will be there. But decrease comes in 10,000. If you take 10,000 words, then it is possible that a word like decrease might also come. That, however, does not take away from the learning load. You still have to learn them equally. So here we have not said these prepositions alone are important. These are examples. Okay, you can see, and these examples are classified. Some prepositions are used to give the meaning of space. Space as against time, above something, at something. At, where do you live? I live at my village. Where do you live? I live in a city. Okay. Where are the clouds? The clouds are in the sky, above the earth. Okay. Before. Where do you live? I live before the petrol pump. Okay. Space. Where do you live? The road goes between two buildings. The rail tracks in Tokyo move between buildings. Okay. So all of these things create a sense of space. Where do you live? I live by the temple. Okay. Like that, you can go on. Some words, sorry, give you that meaning of time. Okay. So after, come after 4 o'clock. Or some words give you exact. They want you here at 4:30. Okay. Neither before nor after. So that meaning can be conveyed only by at. But below, you know, he was below 40, not yet 30. He was still 39. Not, and this club is open only to men and women above 40. Or this club, a driving license in India cannot be given to people below 18, below the age of 18. Okay. So below also indicates some kind of time as between, in, during, etc. etc. And each of these words can be learned, the use of each of these words can be learned in no time because they have definite usage. It's only that one preposition can be used in more than one meaning, but they still have definite meanings. There are prepositions that indicate motion. The train is moving. Where do you reach first? Do if when you want to go from here, do you reach Hyderabad before Vijayawada or Vijayawada before Hyderabad? So you say, take this train, you reach Vijayawada before you reach Hyderabad. There you can change the train either for Delhi or for Hyderabad. Okay. After, similarly, this comes after that, right? In a sense of, a linear progress, motion from, we go from one place to another. If you want to go to the Chennai Central Railway Station, you can take a bus from Adyar, bus number 20, bus number 5B will take you from Adyar to Chennai Central Station. Similarly, you can take this metro train from Chennai Central to Adyar with along. Similarly, things with relation of, for, with, within, under, they show some group relations. Agency, by, with. How do you write? I write with a pen. Who is the writer? Shakespeare. This play has been written by Shakespeare. Group, more than two. This city is among the 10 fastest growing cities. Where do you live? You live between two streets. You have one road on your east, the other road on your west. So you are between these two roads. Okay. Or group between X and Y, or between these two people. We should ask John first. The point I'm making is each preposition can be used for specific meaning, and learning these things, learning to use these prepositions without any difficulty is important for us. We slight attention to their meaning, to their focus, can help us use the same words that we know with, with much greater effect. The difference between Shakespeare and another writer is not that one knew a lot more words than the other. The difference is that Shakespeare knew how to use these words better so that the same words could be put to different effects. Let's move on. Sometimes some people also call these connectors between sentences discourse markers. Like you have sentence, a conversation between two people, or two, three sentences, four, five sentences together are also called discourse. It only means above sentence level. So what connects these two sentences? Words like actually, also, and, or connect those sentences. Okay. But like prepositions, they have certain functions. If you want to include two, three people, two, three sentences, what you have said before, what you are going to say after, then you use actually, also, and, or, although, altogether. Okay. But if you are talking about cause and effect, okay, if there is fire, there will be smoke. So smoke is the effect, fire is the cause. Okay. So if you want to talk about, then words like because, as a result, consequently, for, since, etc. will do. If you want to contrast, if you want to say two things are different, okay, you can either take butter or chili. You know? So then use either or. If you want to negate both, you can neither use butter nor chili in this place. Okay? Then, or if you want to revise, you have said something. Well, Chennai is a very hot place. However, evenings here are very pleasant. But if you want to say the negative things, you can say evenings in Chennai can be very pleasant. But now you want to say the negative thing. However, the days can be very sultry. Okay? So words like however give you a chance to revise and change the meaning of the total impact. You know, you may have said good thing in the earlier sentence, you can say something else in the next sentence. So with though, on the other hand, you said, for example, Chennai can be very hot. You know. On the other hand, Chennai uh, can give you a very safe living. It is one of those few cities in the world which are relatively crime free. Okay, so you are contrasting. You are saying Chennai is hot and sultry, crowded, traffic is bad. On the other hand, you are saying here you can feel safe, your children can go out on the road, your house is safe, etc. You are making a comparison, a contrast. Concluding, you have said a lot of things earlier. You have said Chennai is crowded, Chennai has lots of cars, roads are, the traffic is bad here. Finally, there are difficulties. In summary, we will say Chennai has difficulties, but you bring some other thing. So when you say one, two, three, then if you want to conclude, so you use words like finally, in sum, in conclusion, eventually, depending upon what you want to say. Otherwise, they will remain loose sentences, unconnected. Chennai is a big city. Chennai has lots of cars. Chennai has narrow roads. Chennai has more people. Chennai has no difficult. Chennai has, you know, difficulties of living. Very hot place. What do you mean to say? In some, you say here you can have climate related difficulties, but no social difficulties. Okay, so these words allow you to put several sentences together and give a particular kind of closing. If you want to conclude, if you want to contrast, if you want to show cause and effect, there are these different things. And these different things are easy to learn provided you pay attention to anything that you write, anything that you read. Let us take some examples. Look at those sentences. They could be isolated sentences. I could say, I will today not give a talk. I'll tell you some stories. They are two isolated sentences. Today, I will not give a talk. I'll tell you some stories. Okay. But if you use so and but, so today I will not give a talk, but I'll tell you some stories. Similarly, after all, you have said a lot of things. You know, Great literature, after all, is built on the kernel of a great story. Of course, you want to emphasize something. You know, there are five other things which are not good, and there is one thing which ruins the fun. Then you can say, Chennai has all these people, law-abiding citizens, rule of law, no crime. There, of course, are people, even in Chennai, who sometimes jump the queue. Okay. Now, would you therefore say Chennai is a bad city because there are one or two people? So that emphasis cannot come in your discourse unless you use words like of course. That is what we have to learn. Okay, mostly in no matter what presentation you make what you are talking about, what you read, all things may not be of the same kind. There are some things black, some things white, but then you want to say it is more black. So you use words like mostly. Sometimes you contrast, you know, you say the same thing, but you say it differently. What is the difference between one writer and another? You know, they all tell you the same stories, but one writer tells it differently from another. That is why both writers are worth reading. Otherwise, they would be like the same commercial, newspapers. You know, you have said you took a digression. You were talking about climate, and suddenly you went into entertainment industry. But you can come back. You can say, so coming back to the story, rains are not very frequent in Chennai, but when it rains in Chennai, it rains like nowhere else. You know, in 15 days, Chennai gets more rains than a lot of other cities get in a year. Okay, so so here helps you emphasize one point over a whole lot of things. Like that, we can learn the function of each of these words. Look at the sentences carefully and see how they have been joined. More examples here. Okay, just identify what are the discourse markers. I have not connected them here. You can try for yourself. Okay, and you will see that words like whatever, you could simply have said something gives you joy, something gives you some joy today, something gives you some joy tomorrow. But you say whatever gives you joy today and greater joy tomorrow is great literature. Whereas ordinary literature gives you joy today but does not give you joy tomorrow. So this meaning would not come unless you use whatever and comparative degree. Similarly, look at the next sentence. That is why in our homes we have had the Ramayana. You know, all homes may not have all the books, but one book which you are likely to find in many homes can perhaps be Ramayana or Gita or Mahabharata or the Bible or the Quran. Why? So this is the answer. That is why. Because it is not for one day. Newspaper is for one day, but great literature is for every day. So that is why in our homes we have had the Ramayana. So this kind of meaning, this kind of emphasis is conveyed by these discourse markers. You see their use, check what is discourse marker and check what is the rest of the sentence. If you do these things, you will learn it faster. If you have any difficulty, look up the resource book or a dictionary. Okay. Finally, Yama relates. What do you mean? Savitri has been telling Yama, please let my husband come back. It is not time for him to die. But Yama does not listen. But Savitri speaks to Yama so many times that finally, look at the last sentence, finally, Yama relents. So, if you said Yama relents, it won't have the same meaning as it has when you say finally. That is the strength of Savitri. That is why Savitri is an immortal lady. If you do not know this story, you can look up the net and see this. These discourse markers it is that helps you give overall meaning. Individual local meaning is the property of words, but overall meaning that any speaker or writer wants to give or any reader or listener wants to understand comes from these words. Sometimes their overuse can also ruin. It is like human life. We should not have too much salt. We should not have too little salt. Okay. technical writers also, science writers also, business writers also. This is a lesson for all writers. You know, if you use too many technical terms, too much jargon, then that also ruins the discourse. We call it fog. Meaning does not come. The road is there, but as the dense fog creates difficulties for the driver cannot move fast. The driver has to use headlight. Even then you go slow. Too many technical terms used in a sentence can also impair, can also hinder the meaning. Therefore, therefore it is best to minimize the use of technical terms. Use only as many technical terms as necessary and use simpler words. Look at this example. You can work out too many technical terms. That is why, even for people in that field, this sentence can become difficult to understand. Finally, to conclude, all of these things cannot be learned only by listening to this talk. The best is look at all these slides and with or without those discourse markers, with or without those coherence and cohesion devices, write and see how you go. Then, in no time, you will become as good a writer, as effective a writer as anybody else. Thank you very much.